Now the Aron was a box, right? So we might even need a demonstration. But there was a big box, and in the box, the pasuk says, in pasuk Tes Zayin, you should put v'nasata el ha'aron into the Aron. You should put eso edus. You should put the edus. What is the edus? So Rashi explains, v'nasata el ha'aron. You should put into the Aron. Rashi says k'moy ba'aron. Rashi says you put it into the Aron. So you see Rashi on the bottom. Rashi here is the last words on the second column. He says like this: Eso edus haTorah shehi leedus beinu beinechem. You put in the Torah, and in a different place Rashi is going to say that he puts in the luchos, the aseres hadibros. That's what the first pasuk says. You put the edus asher eteinei lecha. Now let's go a little bit further. Pasuk Yud Zayin. Pasuk Yud Zayin says Valsisa kapoiris. You should make a kapoiris. Now what's the kapoiris? So I don't know if they have a picture actually. If you look on page 447, there's a picture of what is the Aron and what is the kapoiris. The Aron was the actual box on the bottom, and now on top of that they put this cover. The kapoiris was the cover, and on top of the kapoiris was the kruvim. The kruvim were there, and he's saying now, we're saying now you put into the box, before you put on this cover, the kapoiris, before you put the cover on, you put inside to the Aron the edus, which is the luchos or the Torah, either one or both. You put the whole Torah in there, and the Ten Commandments inside this Aron, inside the box, and after that you put now this cover, and the cover is called a kapoiris. And in Pasuk Yud Zayin it says Vasisa kapoiris, you make a kapoiris. Right? You see Pasuk Yud Zayin in the top of page 448. You make a kapoiris. It's kapoiris needs a cover. Zahav tar made out of gold. And he says how much it should be. It should be 2 amas. Okay. And then it says on Pasuk Yud Ches, next Pasuk, it says you should make Vasisa Shnayim kruvim. You should make 2 kruvim, Zahav, of gold, mixture, and you should bang it out of this cover to make, you put the kruvim on it. You should make these 2 kruvim mishnei kitzois hakaporis. From the 2 ends of the kaporis, the kruvim will be on both ends. And it says in Pasuk Yotes how you do it. V'asei kruv echad mikotza mizer, kruv echad mikotza mizer. So you make 2 kruvim, one on this end and one on this end. Min hakaporis tasos kruvim, and from the kaporis you do the kruvim al shnei kitzois.
That's a quick question.
Yes.
It says in the edus asher eteinei lecha. Haven't they already been given the Torah? And I'll give it to you, but he's already given it.
Right. So the question is, what is the edus? So in this Rashi, he says it's talking about the whole Torah.
Right.
Rashi. So that fits good because we didn't get the whole Torah yet. We're going to see in another pasuk. We'll see if Rashi keeps with that explanation, but that would be very good. We didn't get the whole Torah yet. So we're just going to read one more pasuk just to get an idea, and then we're going to go into it a little deeper. And the next pasuk just says that the kruvim, pasuk chaf, right? Pasuk chaf says the kruvim, these little images, the angel-like figures, they spread out their wings lamala, above. They spread their wings out. Here's a chumash, Rabbi. They spread their wings out above, soichachim, and it would cover. It would be schach. Here we learn out that the schach, how high the schach is supposed to be. From this pasuk, soichachim, bekanfehem, with their wings, they gave a little bit of shade with their wings. Al hakaparis, which was on top of the kaparis, and pneiam ish alachav, and each of the 2 figures, the kruvim, they faced each other. El hakaparis, and on the kaparis, yifnei kruvim. That's where the face of the kruvim were. And now let's go to Pasuk Yud Aleph. So now, let's just remember, the first pasuk we started with was Pasuk Tes Zayin, and there it said, you should v'nasata el ha'aron es ha'edus. It said that you take the Aron and you put the edus inside there, you put the luchos inside there. And then it said to make the kaporis. Now look what it says in Chaf Aleph. Chaf Aleph says, v'nasata es ha'kaporis al ha'aron milmala. And you put this, Chaf Aleph says, you put the kaporis on top. Ve'el ha'aron, and into the Aron, titein es ha'edus asher eteinei lecha. So the big question here, why is it repeating a second time that there's another mitzvah? Again, put the edus, put the luchos into the Aron. the Torah, put the Torah into the Aron. But it said in Pasuk Tazayin already. It said v'nasato el ha'aron es ha'edus asher atein lecha. It already said you should put the edus, the luchos or the Torah into the Aron. Why in Pasuk Chaf Aleph does it repeat it? You should make the kapayras. You put the kapayras in the Aron. Ve'el ha'aron titein es ha'edus. Don't forget what I told you in Tazayin. Put the edus into the Aron. Why does they have to repeat it the second time? Good. It's a big question, and Rashi comes to deal with this question. Let me just finish off the last pasuk of this parak. Pasuk Chaf Beis just finishes off. V'nayadati lecha sham, and I will meet with you there. This is the meeting place that we are able to meet with Hashem and hear what His words are. Hashem speaks to us. It goes in and it comes right from on top of between the two kruvim is where the dibur, where Hashem's words come out. Me'ala kaparas, on top of the kaparas, mi bein shnei kruvim, between the two kruvim, these two childlike figures, asher al aron ha'edus, which were on top of the aron ha'edus. As kol asher al taveh, and from there I will say all my commandments, which I will teach the Bnei Yisrael. So that's the end of all these psukim. So it's interesting also in this actual pasuk we can ask another question. It says I'm going to speak to you mi bein shnei kruvim. In Chaf Beis it says I'm going to speak to you between the shnei kruvim. Where were the shnei kruvim? So in case you forgot, really we had it already. It said in pasuk Chaf, right? It said in pasuk Yud Tes. You should make two kruvim on the kapayros. Right? It says in Yud Ches, the Osisa Shnayim Kruvim, Miksha Tasai, Sami Shnei K'tzois, HaKapayros. So it really said it straight out in Pasuk Yud Tes, that the Kruvim were on top of the Kapayros. So why in Pasuk Chaf Beis does it say, V'bein Shnei Kruvim, Asher Al Aron Ha'edus? You want to know where the Kruvim were? They were on the Aron Ha'edus. So that's a little bit extra. It doesn't need to repeat that. That part is extra. Okay, we're going to get back to that question. But let's see Rashi in Pasuk Chaf Aleph. Rashi is the one who asked the first question. Why does it have to repeat that you're going to put the kapayras el ha'aron, and in the aron you'll put the edus? Why does it have to repeat it twice? You're going to put the edus into the aron. So Rashi in Chaf Aleph, you see Rashi on the end of the first column on page 448. Rashi says ve'el ha'aron titein as ha'edus. Into the aron you put the edus. Lo yadati lama nichtal. So look at that Rashi there, the end of the first column on page 448. Rashi says, the bottom Rashi, he asks the question straight out. Usually Rashi, sometimes he doesn't ask it so straight out. Sometimes he bavarns his question. He speaks out what's bothering him a little, like he alludes to it. But here he asks it straight out. Why did the pasuk say twice that you should put the edus into the aron? And he says, Lo yadati, I don't know lama nefbal. Sharei kvar nema, they already said earlier in pasuk Tazayim, v'nosata el ha'aron es ha'edus, that you should put into the aron the edus. V'yesh loymar, so Rashi suggests an answer. Sheval alamid, it comes to teach you. Shebe'oidai aron levadai, when the aron is alone, v'loi kapayras, without the kapayras. So we have now the aron, and on top of the aron is a covering. So it's like a two-step. You can have the aron, but then you have to put the covering on top, the kapayras with the kruvim. That's the second thing, and you also have to put the edus inside. You also have to put the lupas inside this whole thing. So the question is, what do you do first? Is the first thing you should do put the cover on, right? And then when you want to put the edus in, you open up the box and put the edus, put the luchos inside, put the Torah inside. That's one way. Or maybe you should first, before you put the cover on in the first place, first make sure you have the edus. First put the Torah inside. That's the two ways to look at it. The question is, should you put the cover on first? Then, when you want to put the
well, how can you put the cover on first and then the edus in after?
What?
How can you put the edus in after the cover?
Oh, so you'll have to pick up the cover and put in the edus afterwards. Right? You will have to. Right? You'll move it over. You'll have to remove the cover and then put the edus in, according to that way. So Rashi wants to say that you shouldn't do like that. Rashi says that the pasuk comes to tell you that you should make sure to put the edus in before you put the cover on top. Put the Torah inside before you put the cover back on top. Right? Let's read it inside. V'yesh loymar. Rashi says, it comes to I want to say an answer. Sheval alami. This comes to teach you. Shebe'oidai aron levadai. When the aron is levadai, what does it mean levadai? Without a cover on it, without the kapayros on top. when there's no kapiros on top, it's just an aron alone. But like kapiros, without a kapiros, yitain tchila ha'edus l'soichai. You should first put the edus inside. You should put the Torah inside, right there. Afterwards, you put the kaparas on it. Don't put the kaparas on it first, and then move it over when you want to put it in the edus, and then recover it again.
Don't cover it until you actually get the
right. Don't cover it until you put in the actual edus inside.
Could it also mean that in the beginning they also had tablets for the luchot, and then eventually after 40 years he wrote down the Torah? So maybe he meant to say that in the first 40 years keep the luchot in, and then eventually when you get the Torah, switch it with.
So what do you want to answer with that?
So that's why they say twice. So
that's why I said twice. But Rashi doesn't bring this up because it seems like he's still talking about that present day in the Midbar. But you are right. Later in Kisisa, you could look that up. Later on, when they actually make the Mishkan, well, you're right. In Yeshua, maybe when they get the whole Torah, maybe it will change. But here it's referring to just then when they had just the luchos there, and it seems like he's saying he's repeating himself. So Rashi answers that the first time is telling you now we're going to try to derive where did Rashi get this from the pasuk.
Right.
But that's what he's saying. He's teaching us somewhere from the fact that we doubled it. It's coming to teach you that the order has to be first put the luchos in, then cover it over. And just let me finish the Rashi, hold that question. And Rashi therefore finishes v'chein matzino, and so we find kishehikem ha-mishkan, when he set up the Mishkan, Nemar, it says v'yitein es ha'edus el ha'aron. It says he put the edus into the aron, he put the Torah in first. V'yachar kach v'yitein es ha'kaparis al ha'aron l'mala. Afterwards it says he put the kaparis on top, he put the covering on top. So you see that the order is like that. It doesn't say that he put the cover on, and then when he brought the edus.
What is the
after.
What is the edus?
Edus is the Torah.
Is it the luchos?
Oh, and the luchos. The luchos and the Torah. We'll keep it that as both. Rashi here says the Torah.
So after when they build the and only the luchos.
Right. So therefore, we'll say for now that's the luchos.
Why would you put the cover on first before you put the luchos in? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you put the cover on first?
Why would you? I'm not sure.
If you already made the cover first just to show it, and then once you get the luchot, you take it off. If they finish first before they actually get it.
No, the kruvim were part of the kapara. It was the kruvim were actually engraved. They were hammered out from them. Yes.
To be allegorical, so like having an extra shmira on the Torah and the mitzvahs, like it's a protection, it's a cover. So you're like a shmira, and we're supposed to have a shmira, so like an extra shmira. Make sure we're not over.
What's the extra shmira? The what?
No, we're extra shmira for us, like to not be over on the mitzvahs of the Torah, be over on anything that's contained in the luchos.
Well, we're going to speak about what the luchos represented here, but I'm not sure. Could be. I'm not sure. So now we got Rashi, but the question is, where did Rashi get this answer from? The pasuk is not really. The pasuk doesn't lend itself to say that it should be specifically in this order, right? The pasuk doesn't say specifically. First, put the Torah and the luchos inside the aron, and then cover it. The pasuk doesn't say that specifically. And if anything, if you look in the pasuk says the opposite. Look inside pasuk Chaf Aleph, and look at the order how it says it. In pasuk Chaf Aleph it says V'nosata es hakaparis al aron. It says you should put the covering on the aron, milmala on the top. Ve'el aron titein es ha'edus asher atein elecha. If anything, the pasuk says the opposite. The pasuk says first you put the cover on, and then you put into the aron. You should put this luchos and the Torah inside. So if anything, the question is, where did Rashi get this shot from? If anything, the order should be reversed. If I was saying a mitzvah, I would say the mitzvah is that you should put the cover on first, and then you should, when you want to put the edus, then you should open it and put the edus inside after. If anything, Rashi seems to say the opposite of what the pasuk says. So he's learning how to. Rashi's asking a question. It's a good question. Why does it have to say it in pasuk Teszayin and pasuk Chaf Aleph? That's a good question. But the answer, where did Rashi get this from? Where did Rashi get to say that first you have to put the edus in, and then the covering? If anything, the pasuk says first put on the cover and then put the edus inside. Is that good so far? So on this, we're going to say two ways. The first way is an interesting technique. It seems that just in rules of grammar, a grammar rule. And this answer is brought from the Sefer Ksava Kabbalah. So he wants to say that when you have a noun and a verb, you're first supposed to say the verb. Usually you say what by yitain you gave, let's say. You usually say the verb first and then you say the noun. But when it switches the noun and the verb, then it's coming to signify that the verb is coming to say that this action is really an action from way before. Let's look at the pasuk. The pasuk says in Chafal, "V'nosatas hakapiris al ha'aron." You should put the kapiris on the aron, no mala. Okay. Ve'el ha'aron titain. Those three words, ve'el ha'aron titain, is backwards. It should have said ve'yitain or ve'titain. El ha'aron esoid. It should have said first the verb and then the noun. Therefore, the Sefer Ksava Kabbalah wants to say that it's called pluperfect in English. You have to look that up. The English word is called, I think, pluperfect. Pluperfect, I believe. And you look it up in the dictionary, but basically what the dictionary says, it's what?
More than plus.
Right.
More is French for more.
Oh, so more than pluperfect. More than perfect. Right, excellent. So he says that whenever you have a verb that's telling you an action, the dictionary says whenever you have a verb tense that denotes an action or state as completed at or before a past time spoken of. Even though it looks like the action is here, but the fact that you switched it around tells you that this action was really before the action before the last action. So therefore, when the pasuk Chaval says the first action, you should put the kapiris, put the cover on the aron, and then it says the second thing, into the aron you should put the edus. So that second action is really before the first action, and therefore he says that's the rule that Rashi used to know to say that first you should put the aron into the edus. You put the edus into the aron. You put the Torah into the aron. Then you put the first verb of the kapiris. Then you put that on top.
You reverse the original.
What?
You reverse the original.
And you reverse the order of actions. The first action is really the second action, and you put the second action before the first action. He brings a raya. The Ksava Kabbalah brings it from three places in Bereshis, where it says the Adam Yada es Chava. And Rashi there speaks out clearly that it says the Adam he knew Chava and he gave birth to Cain and Hevel. And it was after Rashi there speaks out clearly that this rule that Rashi says very clearly that it was again too perfect that the action of Adam Yadas Chava was really before. It wasn't after he got thrown out of Gan Eden. He really had Cain and Hevel before he got thrown out of Gan Eden.
But if you've got one pasuk that says put the edus in first, right? What do you need the other pasuk for?
Which pasuk? The first pasuk all the way at the beginning, Tezayin?
Whichever one. The one that says put the edus in first, which is what Rashi says you're supposed to learn from. What do you need the other one for?
How's Rashi learning this two pasukim? So Rashi seems to say, so what, the first pasuk it says you put the aron into the edus, but that was before the kaparis ever came along. So he says, of course, the aron is going to house the Torah and the luchos. But now, after you say Yozayin and Ches, you told me how to make this kaparis and the kruvim and everything. So now comes along the pasuk Chaval, and the Torah has to tell you, what do you put in first? Right? Pasuk Tezayin only told you put the edus, put the Torah inside. But now that you have the kaparis, should you first put the kaparis on, and then you can open it up and put the edus in whenever you want? Says Rashi, no. The pasuk has to come to tell you again. Has to repeat putting in the aron, putting in the edus into the aron to tell you no, that the edus has to go in before the kaparis. Now that I told you what the kaparis is and putting on the kaparis, make sure you slip in the edus before you put the kaparis on top. Before you put the cover on, make sure you put the luchos inside. That's how Rashi's answering the question why it had to double, why the pasuk said twice. Yes.
What's the meaning of this law?
What?
What's the meaning of this law? What is it important?
Oh, what is it's a grammar. It's a grammar law, and whenever, because really it should say the verb before the noun. So therefore the rule, I don't know exactly how he got this, but the rule is whenever you have the noun and the verb, and the noun is before the verb, the aron the aron is the noun.
I understand.
So then that switches the order, and that told Rashi that it first should be titein es ha'edus, and then that Titan Edus is before putting the cover on.
I agree. The question is, what is the meaning behind it?
What do you mean, what is the meaning?
Because he can always use the normal rule, right? But for whatever reason,
the Torah
decided to switch it, to use that rule.
Right.
So my question is, everything in Torah is for a reason.
Right.
So what's the reason behind making that rule?
What's the reason of the rule that you can't put
specific this time?
Why do you have to put the kaparas on only after the Eidos?
Why the Torah is written this way?
Because he wants to teach you this rule.
Yeah, I think he's saying anytime you want to learn a rule anywhere else.
Why don't you say it straight? Why do you have to say this rule of pluperfect?
Right.
Just say switch the pasuk at all. You switch the whole pasuk. You say ve'el aron titei no edus. First put the aron put the edus in the aron, and then you should say the second half.
Right.
Why do you have to go backwards like that? That's an interesting question. I don't know exactly why. Okay, we have to think about that. But I want to say that's one way to explain Rashi. That's Ksava Kabbalah, and that's how he explains it. He brings different proofs. But I want to say, if you look at Rashi very carefully, maybe there's another way to explain what Rashi is saying. You look very carefully at his words, Rashi seems to say a different source how he knows to switch the order of the pasuk. Look at Rashi's words inside. V'yesh loymar, from the answer. V'yesh loymar Shabbat Alam is coming to teach you. Sheba'oidei aron levadai. When this box was levadai. What is that word levadai? Levadai, it's alone. What does that mean, alone? But what?
No luchos occupying it.
It's alone, but he explains the next words. B'laya kapiris. Rashi is saying when the aron is b'laya kapiris, you should put the edus inside when the aron is alone. That's what Rashi's explaining. He says afterwards you put on the cover. Rashi seems to learn out from the pasuk that the aron alone, when it says the word aron, it refers to just the box, just that bottom box over here of the. If you look at the picture, just the box, not the kaparis is something separate. The kaparis is right. I don't know what you call it when you put the aron with the kaparis. It's a new entity. But he's saying here, from the words of the pasuk, it says you should put the kaparis al ha'aroin milmala, ve'el ha'aroin titain. It says you should put into the aroin.
And it only becomes an aron once it gets the kapara.
No. So Rashi seems to learn the el ha'aroin titain as edus. The aron is just the box. So when it says you put the luchos into the box, that means the box without the cover. Because the Ramban himself, he learns out from this Rashi. He asks on Rashi this question. He says, if anything, the order should be switched. You should really put the kaparas on first, put the cover on, and then put the edus in. If you want to go by the rules of by the pasuk, the actual words of the pasuk. And the Ramban says that you see from Rashi seemed to have learned that from the fact that the words of the pasuk is ve'el ha'aron titein es ha'edus, Rashi learned that the pasuk is coming to teach you that into the aron alone, levade, just the aron, without the kaparas. I mean, before you put the kaparas on, he's learning ve'el ha'aron titein es ha'edus, only the aron. Then you should put the edus in, and afterwards you put on the kaparas. That's what Rashi seems to learn. That's his source. And the Ramban just argues on Rashi, and the Ramban says maybe the aron could be both. Maybe the aron could be with the kaparas. Maybe you call that whole entity the aron. Right? That's usually what people do. But Rashi seems to have learned. Rashi's words are Sheba'oidei aron levadoi. Rashi seems to learn that when it says in the pasuk aron, it means only the aron without the top.
Says the Gur Aryeh just gives a simple explanation.
Yeah.
And the Rashi says the reason why he's repeated it is because otherwise you would have thought that you can leave the box empty, okay? But you can't. It always has to have the luchos in it, okay? So that's what you have to teach, Rob. You have to teach. You can't keep it empty any time.
Okay, that's why we repeated the pasuk.
Yeah, then it was.
Okay, good, very good.
Takes it from Rashi, who says that's why it says you repeated it.
Yeah, but Rashi doesn't say that.
He says the proof of it is in the second temple because we didn't have it. We never had the luchos in the second temple.
Right.
We weren't allowed to put the cover on.
So we were not allowed to put
We weren't allowed to put the cover on.
Yeah. The question is if you could read that into Rashi. But does that fit with Rashi's words? Does that Rashi's answer?
It makes it even more complicated because then it says put the comparison first and then put the luchos in.
No, but that's what's confused. We can't do it like that. That's why the two pasuk to teach you can't do it like that, so it'll be empty. That's why you got the 2 pasuks. You can't do it like that because it would be empty. So it does fit in with Rashi, because Rashi says you need the 2 pasuks. I don't know.
But you have to look if it fits. He says also that Ibn Ezra says it. So you have to know. Let's just read the words. We have to see how to fit that in. He comes to teach you when the Aron is alone without the kaparis. You should put the Torah inside and the luchos inside. So he's learning up that it's not coming to teach you the order. The Gorai is learning up. It's coming to teach you the definite. Don't put the cover on until you have something inside. That's how he's learning Rashi. So I'm learning Rashi with this Kabbalah and with the Ramban. We're learning a different way. There's 3 different ways how to learn Rashi. We're learning Rashi that Rashi's coming to teach you what's first. I hear. It's good. 3 different ways how to learn it. You can learn Rashi either way. Rashi, I'm stressing the word tchila. Rashi says tchila you should put the edus, and achar kach you put the cover on. I'm stressing the first and after. He's learning up first and after in terms of it stretches for a long time. As long as the first thing is edus. Till you put in the luchos, we're not talking about the kaparis. The kaparis not coming. It could be very much later. A whole second bias, the second base of Victus. We don't have it. We're not going to put it on. That's how he's learning Rashi. Very interesting, very beautiful. That's a different way how to learn. So we have 2 different ways how to learn Rashi. But I wanted to tell you how the Ramban himself, because he doesn't have this rule that we said of Tzava Kabbalah, and he doesn't like Rashi's idea of Aron is just the Aron. He learns the Aron is the whole Aron with the kaparas also. So when the pasuk said you should put the edus into the Aron, he says that could be with the cover on top also. The Ramban says we always call the Aron the whole fixture. So therefore, when the pasuk says you put into the Aron the edus, that could be putting in when you have the cover on also. You have the cover, move over the cover, put the edus in, and then recover it. That's Ramban's question.
And then what does he use the what does the Ramban need both?
So why does the Ramban need both psukim? So let me tell you how the Ramban reads it. I'll just read it through for you and tell you he learns up a whole different shot. It's a very beautiful thing what he does with this. So he says to read the words of the pasuk a little differently. The pasuk says usually when we say ve'el means and. The vav usually means and. Here the Ramban says you have to read it. Let's look at the psukim carefully. Look at the pasuk and we're going to read how he says it. In pasuk Chaf Aleph, how does he read it? He says that he's talking about the Kruvim. The Kruvim were Parsei Kanafayim, right? He's going to tell you the reason why. Let's read inside. He says you put the kaparis on the Aron, milmala. Why do you put the kaparis on top of the Aron? Now the kaparis, let's not forget, had the Kruvim on top. The Kruvim were in the kaparis on top. He learns like this. Because the Kruvim, their wings were spread up high, so he wants to also explain a very big thing here. What is this business with the Kruvim? What were they doing there? Right? You ever thought about it? It's graven images, if anything. They're actually an image of 2 childlike faces with their wings, wings spread out, 10 tefachim high. We learn out from Sukkah, it has to be 10 tefachim. What is the whole purpose of the Kruvim? Why their wings spread out like that? It's a very strange thing, and if anything, sometimes the pasuk says you can't bring any grave. You shouldn't make a graven image. It says you shouldn't make a graven image. Here we're bringing a graven image. We're putting it into the Kodesh Kodashim. What is the purpose of it? It's a mitzvah, right? What is the whole idea of it? So he says the following idea. It says Vinasata HaKaporis. Right? The pasuk says Vinasata Es HaKaporis. You should put the kapiris al ha'aron, on the aron. Why? Ramban says that the psukim are coming to say why. Why should you put the kapiris on the aron, no mala, above? He says the following words. He learns because ve'el ha'aron is saying because the aron titein es ha'edus. You know why the kruvim are on top? You know why you're going to put the kaparas with the kruvim there? Because what was the kruvim on? The kaparas. What was the kaparas on top of the aron? What was in the aron? The Torah and the luchos, which is the most holy of holies, right? We have the 10 Commandments are in the Aseres HaDibros, in the luchos, and that signified the first time Hashem ever spoke to us. That was the right. Hashem chose us to be His nation, and He revealed Himself to us, and He told us these 10 Commandments. So these 10 Commandments, right? Everyone knows there's a special awe and significance of the 10 Commandments, as well as the whole Torah, which was inside this aron. So because all of this was in the aron, ve'el aron, he learns the vav of ve'el is because in the aron titein es ha'edus, you're putting the edus in there. That's why it's very special significance of the kapiris with the kruvim is put on top of there. Because listen to these words. Next pasuk. Again, the vav is going to be a because in pasuk of Beis. Vinayatati, because I will meet you, says Hashem. Where will I meet you? Sham. I'll meet you there on top of the kruvim. Right? Where is it? Because it's on top of the edus. V'dibarti etcha, and I will speak to you there. Me'ala kapiris, from on top of the kapiris. Where? Mibein shnei hakruvim. He learns, Hashem spoke, the words came out from between the kruvim. Asher, because it was al aron ha'edus, because the edus was inside the aron, so it has special significance. And the Ramban says that place became the kisei hakavod, Hashem's resting place, where He rested here. That's His words. Kedesha yieli kisei hakavod. That place was the kisei hakavod. Why? Because that's where Hashem spoke to us, right there. Why did He pick that place? Because that's where the Aron Ha'edus was inside. Aron Ha'edus. So it's Hashem's place where He met with us. The meeting place is when as the pasuk of Beis says, "V'nayadati l'chasham," I will meet with you there. V'dibarti etcha, and I will speak with you. Ve'al hakapiris, on top of the kapiris, mibein shnei kruvim, between the two kruvim. Why is that place so special? Asher al Aron Ha'edus, because it's on top of the aron of the edus, which has the luchos in it, which was where we got the whole revelation from Har Sinai, was with these edus. Therefore, I will meet you there, and that will be my place, Kisei HaKavod, he calls it, the place where Hashem will dwell, His presence down on this earth. Yes.
It's first of all, how do we just decide to change like 3 or 4 different words? Viz and the shares because just decided that.
No,
second, like it still doesn't, even though like the Kodesh HaKadoshim, whatever, even though Hashem's Shina came down in between there, because that's the resting place, and the Aron's, the Lukos are inside the Aron, which is there. It still doesn't explain the graven images.
So what do the graven images do here? So he says over here, from between the two kruvim, that's where Hashem spoke to him. And he says, if you look at the Merkava, Hashem's actual throne of glory, there are 4 sides, and on one side is, I think, an eagle, and one side, he says in Yechezkel, he saw a picture of the kruvim. Kruvim is on one of the 4 sides. On Hashem's throne of glory, there are 4 sides. One of them is, I think, an eagle, and one of them is the kruvim. And Hashem is called Yoshev Kruvim, because He sits right there. That's where His dwelling place is. And therefore they spread their wings. He wants to say why they spread their wings. Why do they need wings? Why do they have to spread their wings up? You could keep the wings down. So he says to teach you that that is the Merkava. The Merkava is the chariot of Noisei HaKavod. That they were the bearers, so to speak, of Hashem's glory. Right? They sort of held up Hashem's glory. They held Hashem's glory right there. That's what the Ramban explains why they needed wings and why the wings were spread out, because it showed that they were the Merkava, the chariot that bore Hashem's glory right there. as it says over there, that they covered over the Aron Bris Hashem.
So they're the receptacle of the Shekhinah in that little area.
Right.
But
So that's why they spread their wings to show you that Hashem Shekhinah rested on those wings.
and the images,
And that was the chariot. What?
and the images.
And that's, yeah, so that's the whole image is coming to teach you that this is Hashem's chariot where Hashem comes to dwell on those wings. This is the place. Why? Because it's Asher al Aron Eidos, because it's over the Aron Eidos.
Why couldn't the Shekhinah just come into the Aron itself in the box and then put the kaparas on? They'd be contained there or something. Why?
Wait, so let's
still
answer
have these images.
So let's one second. Hold your question now. So how does the Ramban now answer the doubling of the psukim? So now, according to this, the pasuk goes like this. Pasuk Tezayin says you should make the Aron. Okay, good. And what should you put in the Aron? You should put the Eidos in the Aron. Good. Pasuk Chaf Aleph now says something totally different. V'nasatah. You should put the kapiris on the Aron milmala. You should put this covering on the Aron. Why? Because in the Aron will be the Eidos. And what's so special about right? That's the Eidos. The Eidos is our bond with Hashem. Hashem gave us the luchos, and therefore that's the second pasuk. V'nayadati lacha, and there is the place where I will meet you, because that is such a special place, and I will speak to you on top of the kapiris from between the two kruvim, which is on Aron Eidos, which is again coming to say that's why Hashem chose this place to be the place where his chariot, and that's why it repeats. The kruvim will be Shnei kruvim Asher al Aron Eidos, because it's coming to teach you the whole idea of these images. Why are they there? To be the chariot. Why is it on top of that place? Because it's Asher al Aron Eidos, because it's on top of the Torah and the Luchos, which is our most important item that we have. So therefore, the pasuk is not a repetition. What the pasuk is coming to do, right? The pasuk Tezayin had already told us to put the Eidos into the Aron. But in pasuk Chaval, it's not telling you the order. He argues on that. What it's coming to do is coming to tell you why you should put the kapiris on top. And what was on top of the kapiris? The kruvim. What is this whole business? Why should you put the kapiris on top? Because the Aron has the Eidos inside. And I will speak to you there on top of the kapiris, where between the Shnei kruvim, which is on the Eidos. Ramban is coming to say that it's coming to teach you a whole different thing of why Hashem came down and spoke to him there. And to tell you that you have to put the Eidos in, we know that already. But why is repeating about the Eidos? To teach you the significance of Shnei kruvim, and to teach you the significance of why Hashem spoke to him there, because all the centers down to the inside of the Aron where the Eidos and the Luchos were. Right. So it's an interesting. Well, hold that question. So therefore, you have to point out here that you're not allowed to make a graven image. But that's all because Hashem said, don't make graven images. But here, there's a mitzvah to make a graven image. To make this image of the two kruvim, it's a mitzvah. So nothing is bad or good in anything in life. It's all dependent on what Hashem wants you to do, what the mitzvah is. If the mitzvah is to kill, so then killing is not bad. Pinchas took a sword and he ran in and he killed Zimri. That was a terrible, you might have thought, such kas and kina. He used vengeance, right? Kina and kas. Usually kas is very bad. You shouldn't get angry. The Rabbi says, but you're supposed to use kas sometimes. Kinas Hashem, to uphold the glory of Hashem, you have to be very angry and you have to be very upheated. That's where you have to take up your anger for the time when you have to stand up for the glory of Hashem. That's the one time where the midah comes out. Midah means a measurement. You have to use every midah, every characteristic has a time when it has to be used. Killing is used for good, for Kinas Hashem. Kas is used for good when you stand up for the honor of Hashem. Different ideas, different times, certain things are mitzvahs. Tamar and Amnon, right? Or actually Tamar and Yehuda, in Parshas Vayeshev, it wasn't Znus. There that was the highest union, that Tamar married Yehuda, and they had from them children who came out from their Mashiach. Mashiach came out from that.
But it wasn't
there's nothing good or bad. What?
It was not.
Yeah, but in that time it wasn't usher. There was no Aveira yet. There was no. It was before
They
the
wanted to burn her alive. What do you mean?
So we'll have to go into this whole thing, but we'll have to look into that. But the point is, nothing is good or bad. It's all dependent on what Hashem commands. So here Hashem commanded that you should make these graven images. So therefore, for here it's a mitzvah, and the mitzvah had special significance of this showing us the chariot of Hashem. And the whole reason it was there was because it was on top of the lucas. Yes, is that good? No, I interrupted you. Yes, I just wanted to make sure I speak out that point. Yes.
What exact image was there? Like, what kind of face can they make?
What did they make here?
On the Kruvim.
They made a face of angels.
What does that mean?
It looked like child. It looked like a childlike face.
What kind of a child? I mean, there's many.
I'll tell you what it is. I'll read you the next words of the Ramban. The next words are that they look human-like form. The Kruvim looked like people, like humans. And what is it called? What is the word Kruvim? You ever heard of the word Kruvim? What's the root of the word Kruvim? Says the Ramban. It comes from the root Ravya. Ravya is a Lashon Arami. It's in Gemara. You'll see Ravya, which means a child. It means a child because they had childlike faces.